variety. That's one of the main things that the EV space here in the United States market has been lacking for quite some time now. And this Fiat 500e for 2024, I think, solves that issue. This offers an affordable variety, one of the entry-level, lower cost, lower range, but super stylish, super feature-packed, and super fun EVs. This car has been an absolute blast to putt around over the past week. It's not designed for long trips. It's not designed for long road trips. Even though it kind of can do it, this thing is an incredible second car to have around. It's great to drive around town, to go on little short day trips. It does all that so well. And with a smaller battery pack, it can even charge pretty quick too, with around 150 to 160 miles of range. Nonetheless, guys, let's take a full tour and review of this 2024 Fiat 500e inspired by music. And I'll show you all the incredibly fun quirks, features, Easter eggs, and just amazing little character that this car brings along with it. Let's go dive in. Now, of course, one of the best new charms of the Fiat 500e, I think, has to be its powertrain, and that's the fact that it is completely electric. I think that solved a lot of issues people had with the previous gas Fiat 500, which had some issues with its reliability in terms of the transmissions and the engines. This kind of eliminates all those problems and simplifies it to one front-mounted electric motor here. And this is paired to around a 42 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is mounted on the floor of the Fiat 500e. And again, around we're going to see 116, 117-ish horsepower and just around 160 pound-feet of torque. Now, with that being an electric motor, all of that power is around instant feeling, so it doesn't feel very slow whatsoever, especially around town, and just even getting up to highway speeds does not really feel like a hard task for this vehicle, especially since it weighs under 3,000 pounds. You cannot say that about many electric vehicles here in the United States right now. And with its lower $34,000 to $36,000 starting price, before any sort of incentives or offers, it's a really attractive vehicle for what you're getting. Okay, fine, it has a nice electric powertrain, but you still have to charge it, right? Well, this is another great thing about the 500e, is that since the battery pack isn't really that big, it's around 37-ish kilowatt hours usable, it charges pretty quickly too. You can get around 10 to 13% to around 80% in just around 30-ish minutes, 30 to 35 minutes. And that's actually pretty much on par with larger EVs. And it's really just because, like I mentioned, this battery pack is on the smaller end. Now, it charges up to a rate around 85 to 88 kilowatts. So again, not super fast charging on DC charging levels, but thankfully it has a pretty strong AC level 2 charging current at around 11 kilowatts. So that's pretty much higher than a lot of plug-in hybrid vehicles I've seen even some days these days are low at around 7 to 9.9 kilowatts. And even some EVs have pretty low level 2 charging levels. So I think it was smart that they increased the speed on this particular vehicle, as I think most of the time you're either going to be charging it at home or plugging it into a level 2 charger, especially with the credits you can get when purchasing a 500e here in the United States. Now, of course, in other markets you can actually get a smaller battery pack, but I have heard that Fiat is working on even improving the range and efficiency of this current battery pack and possibly even fitting a larger one down the road. So I think there's a lot to come with this vehicle, and I'm really excited to see how they play around with this platform. Now, one of the most unmistakable highlights of this new generation Fiat 500, especially in this E-form here, is the design language. Fiat has taken this really long look at the Fiat 500 and they've extracted all of the best design details out of it for this current generation here. And you can really see that on the front end here. Not only has it been optimized to be an EV with this kind of flat bumper style fascia here, I think it just looks so cool. We have really bright and very distinctive LED lights here. I really like how they split the daytime running light through the hood here, which is a really nice touch. We also have these daytime running lights down here, which also function as your turn signals as well. A little bit of some ventage down here actually for cooling of your both air conditioning and some of the battery cells as well. And I really like this tasteful Fiat 500 logo up front here with this very subtle chrome trim, and all the body panels all have this really nice, subtle, smooth and rounded sculpture to it that I really appreciate in this Tuxedo Black paint finish, which is the only color you can actually get on this particular Fiat 500e inspired by music. The same can be said about the rear end of the Fiat 500e. It has a really modern take on that iconic design language from the Fiat 500. A lot more rounded and more sculpted body lines. I really like this trim piece up here, how it ends in this little tag here that says 500e, as well as La Prima. It's one of the first editions of it coming here to the United States, which is a really nice touch. Now, opening up the rear, its trunk over here, nice Fiat badge back here. I really like how they got rid of the red Fiat badge. It's a nice new modernizing taste here. Love these LED taillights back here. We also have a reversing lights and a fog light located all the way back down here in this lower area here. Of course, we have no sort of exhaust as it is an EV, so a nice flat underbody and bumper area there. Popping open the trunk, it is gas strut, so we can have those pop open for us, though there's no power. This rear cargo area is bigger than you may expect, actually. I was able to fit a full-size suitcase back here standing up, which actually kind of surprised me. We do actually have a little bit of a household-style 120-volt charger here if you want to plug it in. The Fiat did provide us. Now, you can also get a at-home level 2 charger, and you can also get level 2 charging credits from Fiat. We also have a pouch here, which actually is hiding some of our fix the flat and air compressor kit there to fix our tires, since there's no way you're going to fit a spare anywhere in this vehicle. And under the floor panel here is actually just some speaker equipment and what appears to be a subwoofer. So that's what you're finding in the back of the Fiat 500's trunk area. Very small cargo space, of course, but you actually have a small little cargo divider, and you can fold these 2 rear seats down if you do want to increase your interior cargo capacity just a little bit more. And I love being able to use this little flap here to close the rear trunk nice and easy, just like that. Now, you may have noticed that I mentioned there are rear seats on the Fiat 500e, and of course, the previous Fiat 500 had rear seats as well. But let's see if you can still fit people in these rear seats, because this new generation Fiat 500 is larger in almost all the dimensions, just by a few inches. So I've fully moved my seat up a little bit, because how I was sitting before, there was no way anyone could sit behind me. But now, let's see if I can sit behind myself. To get into the rear seats pretty easily, you just pull this flap up, the seat kind of ejects forward and pushes itself forward, and you do have this passageway to get inside. Okay, once you're inside of the back of the Fiat 500, I won't lie, it's a very, very tiny place to be in. Definitely meant for children, and now that this seat is up, I can tell you I would not be able to drive in that particular position. So this seat would actually have to go even further back for me to even to be able to drive sitting in front of myself, sitting back here. Otherwise, back here, what do we have? We have a cup holder. We have this little center console with a 500 logo on it. I don't believe there are any charge ports back here. We do have speakers back here, since there are 7 speakers in this very tiny interior, and I believe around the same airbags actually as well. I guess I could have access to this center console storage if I needed to access it. The seats themselves are actually quite nice. They have like this Fiat stitching in it, small little headrest back here, and a little window. Though I will tell you, I think if this was the Fiat 500 convertible, I might be able to fit back here, because right now I can't actually even sit completely upright because my head does hit the roof. So yeah, not an adult space, and I would like to get out of here now, actually. So definitely for kids back here or some additional luggage, but it's nice that you actually even have rear seats at all. Okay guys, let's go take a tour of the interior of the Fiat 500e. Now, we do have our cool key fob here, but we can open the door via the handle itself by just pressing our hand here, and it should unlock it for you. We can also lock it via this little button right here. Pretty easy of an operation there, really no issues whatsoever. And it opens to unlock, of course, the 2-door interior of the Fiat 500. And check out this door panel here. You know, it's not a super high-end premium materials. It's an entry-level vehicle, but there's a lot of nice storage nooks and cubbies on the side over here. I like this material over here. It feels actually quite nice, very soft touch as well. Electronic door handle releases. We do have an emergency release down here as well. And I really love the Easter eggs on the 500e. We've made in Torino in Italy right there, with an original 500 right there on it as well. So nice little touches in here. Then we come over to the seats, of course, here. Now, we have this Fiat logo on the seats as well, just like the rear. Really cool pattern design here. And of course, the 500 badge there. Really nice stitching. Now, they are heated, though not ventilated, obviously. Not really something you're going to find at this price point. And they're fully manual control. So we have this adjustment here for our backrest. We also have adjustment here for to go up and down, only on the driver's side. And of course, we can quick access the rear seats via this little tab here, which is a nice touch. And of course, we have a manual control down here. No all-weather floor mats, though. Again, 500 branded floor mats here. Let's hop inside. Closing the door. Really huge door panel, by the way, and it has a nice solid thunk to it. And here is the interior of the Fiat 500e. Now, as an EV, we actually do still have a start-stop button here, and it's an interesting one. You really have to hold it long if you want it to turn on really quickly. Otherwise, you put your foot on the brake, press it once, and it turns the vehicle on, or you can press it longer and it turns it on to run right there. If I turn it off, we have a little departure chime, as well as this nice screen here that shows you some recent trip information from your just recent trip. And watch, if I hold down the button now, it's just going to turn it automatically on. So that's how, if you want to just turn it on accessory mode or just turn it on, you really just hold that button. Now, there are really fantastic things happening on this interior. The previous Fiat 500 interior, at least that what we got in the US, was abysmal. It was kind of old, very cheap feeling. This feels very well designed, styled, well thought out, and it's a fantastic place to be, if I'm going to be completely honest. Just off the bat here, I love this steering wheel. It not only feels fantastic in the hand, it's the perfect shape to view your digital instrument cluster. I love this here, so you can just rest your hand when you're cruising around the city and quickly maneuvering this little Fiat 500 around. It feels like a go-kart almost around. It's really fun. And I love the controls on here. Very simple controls here. We can change our digital cluster up here, so we can kind of go through all these different displays, which I honestly wasn't expecting when I first got in the vehicle, so I'm very happy you can even do that. You can even put up navigation over here. So it's going to show Fiat's own in-house navigation system here. I don't believe we're in an area where there's signal, but it does work. I've seen it come up there, and you can even change your gauge cluster view from speed to just regen speed blend there, which is a really nice touch. We can also change our Fiat co-driver system. So they call it Fiat co-driver. It's essentially your adaptive cruise control system. We have lane keep assist, steering assist as well. We also have lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, automatic emergency braking, and 360-degree parking sensors, though we only do have a reversing camera for our rear camera system, which is very clear, and it has trajectory on it. So I have to say, first standard as a safety package, really, really impressive features in here. So big kudos to Fiat for putting all this information and features standard. We can deactivate our parking sensors if we need to. We also have fog lights, and we can change our brightness of our displays here. So really fantastic features, along with full adaptive automatic LED headlights. We do have wipers here. They are not automatic, but we do have a rear wiper, which is a nice touch. And again, really nice stuff happening in this driver-centered area. And just check out this really cool kind of weaved style pattern on the dash here. I think it's really playful, and everything feels very solid and actually well built in here, so I'm pretty impressed by that as well. Coming over to our center console area over here, we have a wireless charging mat right up here, along with a USB-A port. Check out this really cool city motif over here in the wireless charger, another fun Easter egg. You can see here we have these buttons to change our transmissions, which really I don't really have any complaint about. It's very easy, simple to use, and it's right there for you. No issues with that. Now you have a big open floor space here, which reveals a cup holder hidden in the center console here. There's just one up front here, and we do have a second one out back over there, though this center console area over here is hiding quite a bit of stuff. Here we can change our 3 drive modes. So we have normal mode, range mode, and Sherpa mode. It's really going from essentially no regen to incredible regen to super reduced driving to get the most amount of range. You can see the range figure will update actually depending on which drive mode you go in. So you have a lot of really cool ways to drive the Fiat 500e, and they all actually feel very different to drive, which I really appreciate. Volume controller here, very easy to use. I think this looks like it's straight out of the new Alfa Romeo Tonale. Emergency parking brake right there, electronic. We do have a USB-C and a port down here, as well as a 12-volt socket. Nice cargo space over here, very big of a center console area. And I also really like how this armrest here can actually adjust and move front and back, and reveals even more cargo space. And I have to say, this is pretty big too. So hey, Volvo, I know you're discontinuing the S60, but this has more center console cargo space than a Volvo S60 4-door sedan. And that's an actual fact, actually. I'm going to put that out there. Opening up our manual glove box here. Thankfully, no stupid electronic controls. I absolutely adore this Fiat manual carrying case here. This is just so cool. You have your handbook in there, your owner's handbook, some other information. Really nice, playful design here. I think that's really fitting with the whole theme of the Fiat 500 now. Really like this. And since this is the Inspired by Music edition, we have a 7-speaker JBL audio system, and that audio system is all controlled through this center console area over here. We have nice separated climate controls, all physical buttons, very easy to use, as well as automatic. No dual zone, but I think it's still enough information and controls for what you need. It's not a big vehicle. This system here, very familiar. It's the latest generation Uconnect system. Another little 500 Easter egg up there. It's on the floor floating dash design. It's essentially the same screen you've seen in the Alfa Romeo Tonale. It's in the Maserati MC20. You know, it's actually a really good system. We have wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, very quick to use. Amazon Alexa is also built into it. We have Wi-Fi connectivity, lots of fun features in here. And of course, in our vehicle page, we can see our power flow, our driving history, charging schedules, a whole bunch of other controls and settings as well. Another fun setting though is you can control and customize your home screen to however you want. You can move things around, quick access to your heated seats. And in media here, if we go to our audio settings right here, we can actually turn on this thing called virtual venues, which you can turn on and off. And essentially it's going to create a concert hall style experience, an open air style experience, music room, recording studio. All these different experience venues are going to actually change the transformation of sound around you in the vehicle to kind of create the space, but you feel like you're in a little bit. This is something we see on higher end vehicles and more advanced sound systems. And sure, the sound quality in here is not, you know, super high end, but it's pretty good for what it is. Decent JBL system. And I think these sound venue choices really help to kind of enhance this experience just a little bit more. So I do like that they have in there as well. So of course you can control your climate stuff in here if you need to. And honestly, I really do like this infotainment system. I feel like it offers more than a lot of other base infotainment systems from other vehicles, especially from GM as well. Entry-level vehicles there, they really have no information or customizability whatsoever. So I like that addition here. Now, I will like to say, I wish there was a sunroof option or even the convertible option here in the United States market. We'll see how that comes down in the future, but that would really enhance this vehicle even more. We actually have no mirror up here. So if you want to look at yourself, you either have to be in the passenger seat or stare at yourself in the rear view mirror there, because drivers ain't getting a mirror up there. So that's one thing to note. We don't have any sort of sunglass holders or anything. We do have interior lighting if you do need some. And you know, that's pretty much it. It's a very basic, plain, simple to use interior, but very functional as well. I actually really like it. It's pretty comfortable with these seats. You know, taller people, it's going to mean no one's really going to be sitting behind you too well. But all in all, really, really fun space. Let's go take this thing on a drive. And we are in. Now, inside the Fiat 500e, we saw how easy it was to turn on. Of course, we know we can pop it into park, reverse, neutral, drive right here. Popping into reverse here is actually going to turn on a small camera. We have 360 camera sensors, parking sensors, but just a rear reversing camera with trajectory. And since this vehicle is so tiny, we have a pretty good turning radius as well. Small wheelbase helps with that. Here are those parking sensors on, and popping it into drive, and you can easily just head off like that in your 500e. Now, there's a few different drive modes to experience in the 500e. And of course, as we know, we have around a 42-ish kilowatt hour battery pack, around 37 about that is usable, around 116 horsepower, around 160-ish pound-feet of torque. But with a weight under 3,000 pounds, it's pretty nice of an experience. You don't feel slow at all. And with around 160, 150 miles of range, depending on your driving conditions, you're honestly going to be pretty solid in this vehicle, especially if you're using it for what it's meant for, not long road trips, like what it's not meant for. Now, of course, over here, we can pop it into a few different drive modes. We have it in normal right now. Normal is going to be your everyday driving experience. I actually like normal on the highway the most. That's probably my favorite way to use normal mode. But when you're around town, I honestly like to use one pedal driving just a little bit more so. And that would mean I'm going to pop it into range mode. So you just use this little E mode drive mode selector in the center console here and pop it into those different drive modes. Now in range mode, what's going to happen is you're turning it into one pedal driving. So as you can see here, I'm letting off the accelerator. You can see that regen is increasing and starts charging the battery. So here you can really play around with the accelerator, lightly tap on it to reduce the regen but still move a little bit, or you can be on that power and get up to speed really quickly with that instant torque and such a lightweight in this Fiat 500. Now there's another mode as well, and this is called Sherpa mode. And essentially what Sherpa mode is range mode, but aggressive. It limits power to around like 75, 70 horsepower. It turns off your climate control, and it's really going to be that mode to extract all of the range out of this vehicle that you could possibly need, let's say if you need it in a dire situation. So I like that blend of modes. And honestly, Sherpa mode's kind of fun to drive around in really small cities because
you kind of have a little bit reduced power. It feels a little bit lighter and fun to drive around. It'll limit you to 50 miles per hour unless you press the kickdown switch, what it actually has, and it unlocks full speed if you do need it. Let's say you're on the highway and you're in Sherpa mode and you need that speed in an instant. But you will notice, depending on the drive modes, right now in Sherpa we're 84 miles. Range mode, it says 84, but normal I know is going to drop to, range said 77, normal I know is probably going to drop even lower to 72 there. And Fiat, I think, has engineered in, or at least allowed, a little bit of some natural electric motor whine. So you can kind of hear it. It's only a front electric motor, but it's a nice natural sound, and you really only hear it when you're coming up to speed. Now, a fun feature is every single time you turn the vehicle on, there will be one time per vehicle startup that this car will play a really fun Italian music sound that was developed specifically for this vehicle on the exterior to alert pedestrians at 20 miles an hour. It's a weird specific thing, but once a time you get to turn the vehicle on and you reach 20 miles an hour, you're going to hear this cool sound. Now, I was like, oh, why can't they do that every single time you hit 20 miles an hour? Obviously, that would be annoying. So at least they do it one time per vehicle startup, but it's a really cool little quirk. It's really not loud. You kind of have to have like the windows down to even get a glimpse of hearing it, but it's definitely more apparent to pedestrians on the road, which is a really fun touch. So you see we're here in like a city environment now, very urban. I'm going to pop it actually into range mode so you can get a little bit more of that one pedal driving experience in this environment, which I think is well suited, and you can kind of just slowly cruise around. You can release your accelerator, get some range back in your juice, and really not have to put any strain on these brakes whatsoever while driving this thing around, which I think is a really fun feature here. And it's just perfect for small cities, urban, suburban environments. A nice little weekend summer car. What a fantastic vehicle this is. It's fun, it's zippy, it's quirky, and it gets a lot of looks. And it just comes such feature-packed as standard as well. It's kind of hard to not look at this vehicle, especially if you're looking at something versus like a Mini Cooper electric, for example, which is actually going to get less range than this thing gets, which is really genuinely shocked me over the week of driving this thing. And of course we have the built-in navigation system. We also have wireless CarPlay, which works flawlessly here. I really have not had an issue with CarPlay once this entire week, even in terms of connecting, which I've experienced in quite a lot of vehicles have some connection issues. So that's one thing to note, and it's just a really fun experience. And I like actually how the climate control you can turn on. It really does not zap range that much. It only uses about like 1 kilowatt of energy if you're using the lower fan speeds, which I think is a great touch. It's not kind of using more power, so I think they kind of built in a little bit of efficiency into that. And of course, if you activate Sherpa mode, it's going to deactivate your climate control for you, but you can still turn it on. It's not going to lock you out of it, which I think is a nice feature as well. You know, this is really the Fiat 500's environment here. Slow traffic, city traffic, driving around, and it's actually going to get its best range in city environments. Fiat quotes around 161 miles. EPA estimated of city range, which is definitely higher than what you're going to be seeing on a higher highway speeds. It's shockingly actually it's not that bad on the highway. You are going to see around 120 to 140-ish, 150 miles range, depending on your driving style and how fast you're going. But it's just such a great car, and I keep dying to try this thing with a convertible. This would be such an incredible experience with the electric drivetrain, this really quiet but cool funky sounds and quirks with a convertible and this new design. I think it would just be fantastic. Now, I did truly try my best to find an Italian style roads over where I live, and I'm going to pop it actually in. I'll leave it in range mode now. I think this is the best mode to drive in, get that one pedal driving experience. So I found some cobblestone roads, and we're going to put a little bit of a test to see if Fiat either changed the suspension here for the US or it's the same as the Italians, because they don't have the best roads from my own personal experience, and these roads are very bumpy. So let's see how the Fiat 500e can handle these cobblestone roads, especially uphill with some deep grooves and bumps in them. So we're getting some sounds in here for sure. A little bit of rattles up over on the dash area, but nothing too bad. A little bit bumpy. I have to say, suspension actually good damping. It's a little bit on the stiffer side. You know, this is a small vehicle. We have a torsion beam rear suspension, but even drum brakes out back as well, just because you don't really need any sort of aggressive braking system on this vehicle whatsoever, because it's so tiny, and you want to save costs. So I think that was fine of a choice here for Fiat. But going around these tiny little roads up here, I'm driving around, getting to experience how it could be if you're in Europe. I think this car makes so much sense. It's so fun, like I mentioned, to just drive around. Steering's really light, very direct, and it's just very easy to just turn the wheel because there's not much heft or weight really to it. You really can make really quick on-command maneuvers as well. And the really amazing thing is, another thing that I've noticed this week is just how efficient it actually is. Going around town, I can go travel for like a few miles at a time, and I'll reach back to my destination, and I've lost like maybe 1 or 2% on that battery pack. I know I've traveled a lot more miles than that. So when you're really driving in these efficient modes here, it does actually help quite a bit. I think we just bottomed out a little bit on the Fiat. But I think this is a very good representation of what an Italian road could indeed look like in the Fiat. But like I said, pretty good vehicle. I'm happy with it. And as always, stay tuned for more coming in Allcarnews. And thank you again for watching this video. Cheers.